So let us touch back on, did I start the recording already or not? Just make sure about this one. Yeah, we are recording. We are live. So last time we talked about an important act. Who can tell me the name of the act first? Last time we talked about an act. Brooks Act, exactly. What year was it used? 1972. We said that it touched on two major things. Who can remind us with those, or one of those things? First of all, it talked about what exactly? Selecting what? Engineering and architecture firms for what? What projects? Construction. But what type of construction? Federal. Public projects. So it talked about public projects. What did it say?
Experience.
I'll ask our friends here. Are you looking for the answer? Yeah. Okay. So what did it say? What?
Private contract.
No, Brooks Act didn't specify it in the contract. Didn't work out this time. Yeah.
It talked about not using, there's talked about the federal government not using lowest bidder for architecture and engineering.
Exactly. So it talked about picking the architecture and engineering services for federal project based on qualifications only. And you can't pick them up based on the price. So that was from last time. Let me see, what else do we have from last time? Okay, let's move. We talked about the fee structure last time. We said that the architecture and engineers, they can charge based on, 5 categories. They can, pick and choose one of those categories for the architecture. And they can just, so if they can't place a bid, they have to figure out one of those ways. One of them is just a lump sum. One of them, they just add the salaries of their firms and they ask, well, for that, for maybe we will work on your project for 4 or 5 months and we will design it for you. It costs us this much in salaries. You have to pay us that much. Maybe plus a fee. You can add the salaries plus a fee. You can, go into details, hourly or per dime charge. Well, we did this. We printed on that much of paper. We used this computer. We used that. It cost us for this license or that. So you can divide it as the way that you like it. Okay. So what are the expected responsibilities of the architecture or engineer? Now it's your. No, I'll go back to you again.
What's question?
What are the expected responsibilities of the architecture and engineer?
Drawing and the engineering of the project.
Your previous answer.
Contract.
Okay. Depends on the contract. Exactly. This is the right answer. Depends on the contract. But usually it consists of doing some construction documents, doing the drawings and the specifications. And again, depends on the contract. They can be the agent of the owner during the construction phase. So if you work for the contractor side, sometimes the contractor will hire the engineer or the architect to go to the site and make sure that you are building the project according to the specifications and the drawings that the architect or the engineer has specified. there is an important term here. It's called, let me change the color of this one. Exculpatory clause in the contract. What does that mean? If I'm pronouncing this wrong, just correct me. This is, important. Might come in the exam. Such clauses in the contract limit the professional liability of the architect or the engineer. So you might find a clause in the contract that says, well, any damage or any loss that happens due to the design is the responsibility of the owner alone, or is not the responsibility of the architect or the engineer, something like that. What is important to know about those is that they can protect from claims from the owner side or from the contractor side, but not from a third party side. Like what from a third party side?
Contractor.
Not the contractor. Third party, it's like users. Maybe an architect designed, or not an architect, an engineer designed the bridge, and it wasn't designed correctly. And you have, people passing over that bridge, and one of them died or something. So the family of that person can sue the designer if they can prove that because of the bad equality, or not the bad equality, from lack of safety in the design, was due the architect or due the bridge engineer. So they can sue that bridge engineer, and they can actually take his license out from him. So there also yeah, go ahead.
It says that it's only applicable when signed. Does the owner have to sign that part of it?
It's in the contract. So any contract is signed by two parties, except one contract. Which is that? What's that? Can you think of a contract? The syllabus of this course. It's a contract for the course. If you go to the syllabus, you have the office hours, you have some instructions on how to send an email or all of that. And by coming to this class, you kind of approve of what is written in the syllabus. And do I have an exculpatory clause in that syllabus? Who read the syllabus? Okay, open the syllabus on Canvas right now. Let's check. I will tell you that I don't have one, but I have something close. Go to the last line of the syllabus. Yeah. It's with the syllabus. It's, sometimes some stuff might come up and you have to change a little bit or adjust.
What's the schedule change?
So usually I update the schedule every 2-3 weeks, depending on guest lectures that I might have. Because we depend on people from the industry to come and give some guest lectures, and it's sometimes hard to make them commit 3 months in advance. Some guest lecturers might call you a week before, and they're saying that, well, we have some work in Hattiesburg and we might be there next week, and we would like to come and talk to your class. So you can't tell them, no, I don't want you to speak to my class because I have a schedule and it's fixed. So we can accommodate their needs. So that's why you will find in the schedule like to be determined or some subject that are not fixed. So let's go back to the deliverables that the architect and engineer will provide for the owner. Except of the drawings and the specifications, they will provide something called the project description. Usually it will be the first section or the first part of any set of drawing. And sometimes it will be the documents that they will provide for contractors to bid on, or sometimes if it's a design-build project, it will be the first one that the design-build firm will look at in order to apply for the request for qualifications phase. We'll talk about all the phases later, but usually in a design-build project, the owner will ask for, first of all, a request for qualifications, where you have all, sometimes it's like 10, 15 design-build firms. They will show their qualifications for the owner, because if you remember from last time or the time before, we said that design-build, we select them according to qualifications and the price. So they have to do both. Design-build, just the price. We said that. Okay, I'm pretty sure that we said that. So, if you are submitting for a request for qualifications, they will ask you, you want to show that you are qualified to do that specific job. And in that, you need to show some portfolio, you need to show that you have done some similar projects, you would show some team players that you have in the office or in the firm or in the joint venture that you are joining. You need to show that those team players, they have the appropriate experience, they have enough experience, and they can actually work on that project because they want to select a good team to do their job. So the project description will be that document that you will respond to. You will look at that project description and you'll say, okay, so they are building last year. I think Terra participated in a design-build competition, and the first document that they sent that, well, we are building a car garage. It was a garage, and it should fit, like they gave you a specific number of cars. It's in that, we have 3 or 4 pieces of land that we are thinking of. Just look at them and give us the qualifications or a team that can actually do the job. So what you will do as a firm, you will look at your team and you will think, okay, so we have Will. Will, he's a structural designer. He worked on 3 parking garages before. So he's a good fit. We can put his name and his experience, and they will think, well, okay, so they have someone who designed those before. Go and look at his design, and then we can judge if he can do our job or not. You will look at someone else. Well, we have an architect. Maybe they're attaching a building to it. He did some similar projects. They will go and pick that architect. And then you will put all your team members, you will put your firm experience, and you'll submit it. And all of that is in response to the project description. In the project description, they will say the nature of the construction project. They will say the material also that they want it to be used. Like sometimes they will say that we, on campus, all the buildings that we have are built from brick. So you have to stick to the theme of the campus. You can't change. We don't want something different. We don't want this building to look odd. So they will say that, well, it will be, a brick building. And they will also specify the quality of the workmanship. Why would they do that? In order to negotiate? For you as a contractor or as a builder, you need to look at the project description and kind of have an idea of, how much it will cost you to do it, or do we have a shortage maybe in steel and they are asking for steel? Do we have a shortage in that, or are you projecting a shortage in something? So you can negotiate, you can tell. It also describes the quality and details of work to be incorporated during the construction phase, and it can be used as basis for settlement of a claim. What does that mean? The last one.
If they're trying to sue you for doing something wrong, you can go back to the initial.
You can go back. Sometimes if you have like a clause in that project description, you can use it in that claim. We talked about design ownership. I shifted 2 slides here. But we said, so from last time, we said for design ownership, who owns the design usually?
Architect.
So when I asked this question, he said that we have 2 types of a project. We have the private and the public projects. So who owns the design for a private project?
Architect.
It's what's your name, my friend? What's your name? Dalen. Okay. So who owns the design usually in a private project? You're missing the answer. What is the answer?
Depends on the contract.
Depends on the contract.
Okay, I was gonna say that. But
Yeah.
I've already said it twice. So
So it depends on the contract, but usually it's the architect, unless the contract specifies something else. What about public projects? Who owns the design in a public project? The owner. It's the public. So for any public project, the public owns it, owns those drawings. That's why if you go to like a public library or something, sometimes they will show those designs. They will just like put them in a room because it's owned by the public. We also talked about the drawings, and we said that currently we have 2 types of drawings. We said that we have the 2D drawings, and then they improved the 2D drawings to have the 3D BIM models that will have all the specifications and all the drawings. And we talked about the cons and pros of each. Do you guys prefer to work with a model or with a 2D drawing? The model. Why is that? Why is it, more preferable to have a model instead of a 2D drawing? You can see better. This is one thing. What else? How does it help?
You can imagine how the project will look like.
How does it help if you are working with different teams?
It's usually you rotate columns.
Like, if you have a structural engineer or structural designer, you have a mechanical, you have people on the side, you have all of those. If you are working with a model, is it easier for you to see if there are any problems, overlaps between the designs? It should be easy with that, right? You have an MEP element that goes through a beam or goes through a column. It will be easier to detect it in the model. And now, computer programs will detect that automatically for you. You can run a clash detection, and it will tell you that, you will have clashes. You have elements that are, interfering with each other business and all of those areas. And they will highlight them for you. It will take, seconds. Do you guys think that the drawings are important in our business? Why is that? Why is it important? It should be important. Because it will tell us how the building looked like. That's right. What else? Are the drawings part of the contract? that you're signing? It is. It is the contract that you're signing. Because when they deliver those documents, you are obligated to deliver whatever is in the drawings. So if the drawings quality wasn't good, then, rubbish in, rubbish out, or garbage in, garbage out. So you need to have a good quality. And they must be complete, they must be intelligible, accurate, detailed, and well correlated. So all of those apply on the traditional way of building, which is the design bid build. Because you need to have a complete set of drawing before you can start the construction. And alternative delivery methods like design bid build, construction manager at risk, and CMGC, they don't have to be complete. So it's a little bit different. But I'll stick to what's in the slide and what's in the book. If you have a set of drawings that is complete and that is perfect, how will that be reflected in your project, the construction phase? Will you have a smooth, construction?
Not necessarily, but more likely to have.
You're more likely to have it. You're like the probability of having a smooth, you take the weather out of the field. But because the contractor can do a good estimate on the project unless they suck in being contractors or they suck in that part. But usually contractors know they're not. They're good and they know how to price things. And usually what delays some projects are just the amount of claims and disputes, because if you find something, you have to file it in paper and it will go up and then they have to sign it and approve it and go down, and this takes time. They said that this is wrong. You'll ask a consultant, the consultant will look at it. Oh yeah, they're right. Oh, go back, sign it. It'll take a week just in signing papers. And as a contractor, you're not gonna do something before they approve it because you want to get paid. And again, if you have a good set of drawings, you'll have a good quality final product. Again, you have garbage in, garbage out, but if you have good quality in, you will end up having good quality out. So the other part, so we talked about the drawings. Any set of drawings should be supplemented with something called the specifications or specs. What are the specs?
Written instructions.
They are written instructions. And usually in the specs, we specify, we will dig into specs later on and we will have some class activities and homeworks about the specs. So we can differentiate between the different types of specs, and you guys will get the chance to write specs. But they're written instructions concerning the project requirements. And they have two parts. The technical requirements. What do we mean by the technical requirements? Who can give me an example?
How much we need material to build a building?
How much do we need to?
How much we need a concrete to build a building?
We won't specify how much, but we won't specify how. This is how we're going to specify. We'll specify how you're going to construct the concrete. Some specifications will tell you how to do it. Some specifications will tell you the strength of the concrete that you're going to use. You can't use any concrete that you find. Well, it should be in that specific strength. And sometimes from the specs, we consider some unusual documents, especially for larger projects, like an invitation to bid. So, have you guys heard of that before? Invitation to bid? Usually an invitation to bid, they buy it. You buy the invitation to bid as a contractor. They put a price on it. It's a huge amount. You know, they put like $5,000 for participating in this bid and getting the invitation to bid. You give that invitation to bid, and that kind of like eliminates a small fish from the market. Like if you have a big project, you don't want someone with insufficient experience to come and participate in your bid. So you just want to keep those out. So you do an invitation to bid, or sometimes if it's highly competitive, project. You also have instructions to bidders. It gives you an instructions on, how to bid on this project. What are the times of all the bids? They have like what times you have to submit your bid by. So let's assume in the instructions they told you that the bid, or they will start opening the bids at noon on September 5th, and you came at 12:01. Would they accept that from you? No. Even if you had the best price. So, that's why sometimes in classes here and professors in our department, if you come late 1 minute, they won't let you in, because usually you have to be there on time. Otherwise, well, you missed it. You also have general conditions and all of that. Specifications also come in different formats. First one is the uniformat, where those are just for you to look at. I don't expect you to memorize them or anything. You have like substructures, shell, interiors, surfaces, services, equipment and furnishings, special construction, demolition, site work, and general. We also have another format. So you have the uniformat. This is the first one. The second one, we have the master format. What I want you to know about the master format, it's promoted by the CSI, and it's widely used. So if I ask you in the exam, which one of those forms of specification formats is widely used in the architecture engineering fields, which one is that? And it's the master format. And the master format usually starts with the procurement and contracting requirements. So it's like a set of documents. It sits like the specifications or the contract language on contracting requirements. They talk about general, they talk about existing conditions, and then they start from concrete, and those numbers are fixed. I think now we have more, maybe it's 52 or something. If I ask you about it in the exam, I want you to give me the number that is in the slide. Okay? Because now I think it's about 52.
So what is KP number? What is KP 16, 17, 18?
Yeah. Sometimes they leave some stuff. You open it on the internet. They leave some empty provisions just to add later on. But now I'm pretty sure they are 52. I'm pretty sure now they extended them for 52 because I think they added like sustainability and stuff like that to them, or lead or something like that. So we have the general conditions. They are also part of any set of specifications. They call them provisions. General conditions, always provisions. It's an alternative name. And they are just conditions to govern and regulate the obligations of formal contract. So they're like conditions to introduce or to govern, to regulate the contract. They are not intended to affect the internal working of stakeholders other than the ones that affect the contractual rights of stakeholders. That's complicated. Who can just elaborate on this one? I'll give you 1 minute to read it. Read it again. Slowly. So the general conditions, are they intended to affect how the stakeholders treat each other? What do you mean by stakeholders?
They're giving you money to build it,
The ones who are
giving you money to build it.
stakeholders are the parties that are, like the architect, the contractor, all those are stakeholders in a project. So general conditions are not supposed to or not intended to affect the relationships or the interrelationships between those, except the ones that are specified in the contract. You have the contract that says or specifies the relationship between those, and this is what you stick to. And it includes definitions, contract documents, subcontractor, time, disputes, and all of those details. Who can give me an example? Just think of an example of what we can find in general conditions. It's something closer to maybe the student handbook or something. It says that in the case of dispute, should be solved doing 1, 2, 3, 4. In the case of going overtime or something, the contractor should do this. 1, 2, 3, file this first, and then take response or all of that. It's like, who did file for graduation here? Oh, it's too early to say. It's like 174. What I'm thinking. Anyway, but when you file for graduation, this is the only example that I can think of because I signed a bunch of papers this morning. Anyway, when you file for graduations, you will go to SOAR. They will give you instructions. Fill out the form, fill it, type it on the top, and you can write on the bottom part, but the top part should be typed in. You can't use your handwriting. And then fill out the right side, send it to your advisor. Your advisor should sign it, and then it should go to a route. All of that is specified in, something like the general conditions. It's the student handbook. And in case of missing something, you have to follow the procedures. It's the same. So general conditions are just the provisions that tells you how to deal with the contract. It gives you definitions about the contract. Sometimes you open a document and tells you definitions, and it starts. Whenever you see like the owner, it means this public agency. Whenever you see the contractor, it means that specific contractor, because they don't want to repeat, the name in every single part. And sometimes many of those contracts are written, by lawyers, and they apply them for different projects. And what it changes on the projects is, the project itself and the stakeholders. So you just go to the AIA, ask for a set of documents and set of contracts, or you go to the DBIA, take a set of documents, and in all of those documents you will have the owner, you will have the design builder, you will have the designer, all of those, stakeholders, and you decide who's the owner is in the general conditions. You'll decide what the project that you're working on, what is the budget, all of that in the general conditions. So definitions, we said rights and responsibilities of the owner. Also, it says like in case of termination of the contract, how do you deal with that? And, all of those. Also, this one is important: the payment and completion. So it specifies when the owner should issue a payment for the contractor. And in many design build projects, it will say that you have different phases. Once you finish one phase, you will have a representative from the owner that goes and sees that, well, you finished that phase. And like phases would be like, well, earthwork. You finished digging the that site, and you're done with earthwork. So once you're done, someone will go and check, and they will issue a check for you. And maybe putting foundations. Someone will go and check that you're done, give you a payment. And it's all specified here in the general conditions. We have also contracts. We have the AIA documents. We have also the AGC of America, or the AGC sets of documents. And we also have the DBIA documents. Usually the DBIA documents are for design build projects. The AIA are for the design bid build projects. And any firm, they will go and they will just purchase, documents from them. That's it for today. I will let you guys go 40 minutes, as I promised.